All right. What's up, you guys? It's me, Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. Tonight, you guys, we've got a special guest. We've got Mike from Doing Time with the Darlands and his wife. She's back there somewhere in the background, Beck.
She's trying to keep the
Hey,
kids quiet.
I just met Mike. I don't even know how we found each other. How did we find each other?
My wife found you
Okay.
and sent you a message.
Yeah. So I just found Mike because his wife reached out to me on YouTube, and I've been doing these crossover videos. So I only did, like a year in prison, so don't have a lot of experience with it. Hey, you guys. Okay, so people are filtering in. I'm gonna say hi to everybody. Okay. Hey, Merk. Hey, Chris. Hey, Lavette. Hey, Misty. What's up, you guys? Thanks for being here. Hey, Donna. This is Mike. He's going to share a little bit of his story with us, you guys, but I'm going to wait for y'all to come in and everybody to get seated. Um, Come on in, greet your neighbor, talk to each other. You guys, Merk, if you will link Mike's channel in the chat so that way people can find it easier. In fact, I'll text you the link, Merk, so that way you'll have it. We are so just chill. Okay. Hey, Donna. Oh, I'm so happy to see everybody here. Okay, Merk, I'm sending you this link right now. That way. Okay, so Mike, what we're going to do is I'm going to share your links in the chat. I'm going to make sure that I post your link on our comment section whenever we get the video uploaded.
Okay.
And I'm going to let you take the stand. I'm going to sit here. I might break in and ask you a couple questions throughout it, but I really want you to just share with us what happened, what took you down the road you went down, and how you've come out of that on the other side.
Okay.
Okay,
I
go,
started
brother.
like I usually start like I start when I do my speaking.
Okay.
I've been in the system since I was 11 years old. Start out real petty stuff. When I was 11 years old, I stole a car, and then that car ran out of gas. We started on fire. We got some pretty hefty charges. 11 years old, and from there it just progressed. I've always told everybody that I just think it's something I was born with it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know many 11-year-olds who was out doing the things I was doing. I was really attracted to my uncles and their lifestyle, so I really latched on to them. I mean, my home life wasn't abusive, wasn't like that. My mom and my parents, they were alcoholics, but it had nothing to do with where my life went.
Yeah.
So as I got older, started hanging around the wrong crowds, started venturing out, seeing bigger and better things out there. So I thought. It was in the 90s when I robbed my first banks. That's when I graduated from little county stints and from the juvie system to federal prison. I've only done maybe, what's that?
So tell me this. So your mom and dad were alcoholics and addicts,
Yep.
right? So when you were a little kid, were you left unattended left to your own devices? So
I had so much free time, especially really from about 12, 13 on up.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom was a bartender. She was drunk at work. She was drunk at home. I mean, I tell, my wife and my kids know a lot of the stories. There were many nights I would get home either from school or just from a friend's house, and I would find my mom and one of her husbands, because she was married quite a few times, passed out naked on the kitchen floor. My friends would usually, man, let's go stay at my house. So I never had no curfew. I had nothing.
Yeah.
Every time I was in and out of jail, for a long time, my parents, I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it, but they would bail me out, or the family get together, get my bail me out, and I just go right back at it. I've been through the Scared Straight program twice, and back in the 80s, it was a good program. Okay, it didn't work for me, but it did work. Right. Scared Straight program they have today is a joke, because it's not hardcore anymore because of where we are today as a society.
Do you think that because your family would bail you out, that because you didn't have to experience those consequences of sitting in jail and actually doing that, like even if it was just county time, when you have to sit in there, you get that consequence, and it makes a difference. I mean, as for me as a drug addict, when I had to go to jail, my parents wouldn't get me out. It really made it stick, you know? So I can imagine it probably made it like, oh, well, this is just a slap on the wrist. I'm going to go do more of this.
You know, and it was, but I've always been open about our system,
Hmm.
because our system is backwards, and so it has a lot of good, but it has a lot of bad.
Hmm.
For someone like me, every time I got in trouble, I knew what the consequence would be, and I knew it'd be a slap on the wrist. And so it never deterred me. It just didn't. You know, the only time I was ever even, I guess, scared my life of being locked up was my first time when I was 11. You know, it
Uh-huh.
was my first time at juvie. And again, it didn't scare the hell out of me. It scared me because it was new. But all my times in jail, you just become used to it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just a way of life. It was a way of living. I was
Hmm.
always in and out. Every time I would get out, I knew it was only temporary. And I would tell myself that, you know, let's try to get as much done as I can because I'm going back. And every time I did. So, you know, they didn't help it, but a lot of it was really the system. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until this last bit, the one I killed in 2015, was my 12 and a half year bit.
Uh-huh.
That was the one that set in. That's the one that retired me.
So what did
And
you, when you went to the 12.5 year bid, what was that for?
armed bank robbery, same thing, except
Okay,
just a
so
lot more banks.
how did you actually get out of the bank with the money?
Yeah, I had 13 banks. That's what I hit.
How did they catch you?
I try not to use the term rats anymore because that's not my way of life. A lot
Yeah,
of
I know
people,
what you mean.
a lot of people told. You know, I
Okay.
trusted just the wrong people.
Dang, did y'all have like, was it like a whole operation where you had like people that parked outside and waited in the getaway car and
I
somebody
was
up on the
always,
roof?
it was always me. I was always a
Wow.
one man show. You know, really, a lot of people didn't. Even my wife now wasn't quite sure what I did because she met me when I was in the heat of my life, when I was running crazy. You
Mhm.
know, at one time she thought I was a drug dealer. You know, a lot of people had their assumptions of what I did, but no one ever knew, obviously, until the day I got hit, and it was all over the news, and it all came out. And a lot of people were shocked because they didn't realize that was me.
So you had basically two lives. You had your life
Yep.
where you were out doing that, and then you were like a good family man, away from
No,
that life.
I wasn't a good family man. I ran with some particular people,
Mhm.
and that's where my life was. You know, it was my bros before my family, and that's
I
just the
got
way
you.
it is. It's the way it was. And so I wasn't a good family man. I mean, yeah, I loved my wife, I loved my kids, but I wasn't there for them. I
Yeah.
was never there for them. I lost all that time with them. You know, up until now, having my little girl, my 19-year-old is the only child that I had the most time with, and I had up till she was 4 years old. You know, and so my son, he was a year and a half when I went in. Our relationship, it's hard. You
Yeah.
know, when we see each other, it's good, but I know he's mad. He's got a lot of hostility built up, and she should. And I've told all my kids, you know, there might come a day you want to tell me, you know, hey, fuck you, we're mad. And hey, I got that coming. None of them have done it. You know, they all try to say, well, no, it's okay, Dad. You know,
Yeah.
we accept it. We know who and what you were, and we're good with it. But I don't buy that. You know, I have hostility towards my parents. You know, they're passed away now, but nonetheless, I just wish they would be more open with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but no, I wasn't a good family man because I chose that over my family. You know,
When
yeah,
they
I
told
think I'm doing the right thing, but I
right.
wasn't.
When they told you that you had 12 years, like what was going through your mind?
You know, most people would probably sit there and be freaked out. Mine was just, I guess in my head, I was telling myself, well, it's better than 15. You know, and I know that's a fucked up way to look, but it's the truth.
It is the
You
truth.
know, but what had me this time, my very first bit taught me nothing. My first bit was 5 years in the feds. I was
Mhm.
young. I had no ties. It taught me nothing. I was not phased, not one day during my 5 years. This one, I had my wife, who I'm married to now. That was tough because I never had an old lady that was right there. So that was
Yeah.
real hard for me to, that was real hard to bite. We had some real emotional visits, because I never been on hooked or in love with anyone like that in my life. So that was new to me.
Did she write you and come to visit you all the time?
She did every day with me. That's
That's
why
awesome.
she's the most righteous woman anyone will ever meet. And
You
but
know,
it was hard on her.
yeah, I imagine. And a lot of people talk about how when guys get locked up and then, if they have a wife or a girlfriend, in the free world while they're locked up, a lot of people, there's some ladies that stick and stay, but there's a lot of ladies that can't. I mean, it's hard. And I would imagine that, oh gosh, I can't, I know that I would stick and stay with my man because I love him so much, but I just know that it must be so difficult to be so
It
far away from the person that you love.
it is. You got to understand. And I've told her this. And I used to, when I was in there, I used to teach the parenting class in the GED. But of course,
Hmm.
they used to get real deep into other stuff. But I used to tell these guys because I'd see them sitting there sweating their old ladies at home. And I said, for one, I said, if they're riding with you, I said, they still got to live their life. I said, you got to give them that freedom. Because I would ask them straight and I'd say, what would you do if the roles reversed? I said, you going to wait for your wife? Are you going to sit home and try to lay dormant for over a decade? It's just,
Right.
I was very honest with Beck. It's just, hey, she's a woman. She has needs. You have to live your life. And I used to tell people, I said, I was real honest with my wife. I told her one, if she were to ever find someone else, all I'd ever want to do was just her to tell me. Don't
Yeah.
just tell me. But as far as her living her life, it's just, I told her, I said, man, I said, get a boyfriend, get a girlfriend, get both, do whatever. And that's hard for people to tell somebody. But hey, she's a woman.
Yeah.
Women have needs, men have needs. And to ask someone to sit there and lay dormant, especially for a knucklehead like me, I'm the one that got locked up.
Yeah.
But hey, she lived her life. But she also, man, she held life down out here. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be sitting where I am today. Not
Yeah.
one little bit.
How when you got okay, so while you were in prison for the 12 years, did they teach you anything? Did they put you through college or classes or GED or therapy or anything like that? Anything that would benefit you when you were going to transition into the free world?
Nothing. My first bit, they made me get my GED. So I got it. No, that's since I've been out. Now, they'll make you go to school, some
Hmm.
places. Now, my last 6.5 years, I was in USB Leavenworth. It's overcrowded. There's not enough jobs for anybody. So there, you don't have to work. They'll try to say you have to do education. But like some of the guys used to come to my GD class, it just gets to a point, the teacher's just going to say, look, they're going to sign them off and let them go. Some guys just can't be reached like that. But did they
Yeah.
do anything for me? Will they do anything for you? No, you have to go after it. There are programs. With me, I'm not someone to go talk to a doctor some about my problems. They had a program called the LCP. Some people call it a
Hmm.
religious program. It's religious based. You go in, you can get time off your sentence. I know
Hmm.
some guys that have done that just to get the time off. I couldn't do that because there's no way I could fake it.
Hmm.
I accepted my time. Mine just hit me one day. I was about 5 years from the door when it all just made sense to me. I can remember the day. I don't remember the date, but it was afternoon. I was in my cell and it just, man, it came to me. And I sat there and I said, what the fuck am I doing? Everything made sense to me. My old way of thinking just, I couldn't comprehend it. Why did I pick, my friends over my family? I sit here to this day and I'm like, what were you thinking? Because it just didn't make sense to me anymore. And
Yeah.
so from that point on, I knew what I was going to do. I knew I was done. I mean, obviously I still had to prove it to, people out here. I know in the back of Beck's mind. And sometimes she tries to tell me, no, I didn't think that. And I tell her, yes, you did. Because I've spent my entire life in this system.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have concerns. Is he really done? I mean, because I'm 44 coming out. And okay, he ain't learned shit yet from being 11. And so I just had to basically just show everybody.
That's what it's like for I mean for me as an addict, they call that your moment of clarity. Like for us
Yep.
addicts,
Yep.
when you wake up one day and you're like, I'm just tired of living my life like this. I can't do it anymore. And then it's like everything is clear as day. You're ready to make a change.
Yep.
And also I had to start like proving through my actions that I was doing something different, because I had said it a million times, oh, I'm going to get sober. And I'm
Yep.
sure you had told your wife a million times, I'm never going to get in trouble, I'm never going back to that life, and then something would happen, you know.
Yep.
And so what do you do now? Like, okay, so you got out, and what do you do now? How are you staying, like, what are you doing to stay on course? How are you doing it? What struggles are you encountering, though, being out and trying to live your life? Like, I want to know all about it.
See, understand? When I say I'm fortunate than most, when I mean that in the sense of guys that done my kind of time, because I had my skill in my trade prior to prison. Even back in the day when I was running wild, I always worked. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of corny, and some people are like, "Well, really?" Because I would still work. I still hung with who I hung with. I would still go hit my banks, but I'd be to work 6 o'clock in the morning. I just, I don't know why, but that's the life I led. Because I loved what I did, but I loved being on the other side of the tracks over here. And so when I come home, I'm a heavy equipment mechanic. That's what I do by trade. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
had nothing left when I came home. I had no tools. I had nothing. And so, but I told myself, I don't care what I got to do. We're going to make it. And so I worked at a temp service. I was making $8.43 an hour. And I come home, I have my wife, we had our son, I'm making $8.43 an hour. But I would work as many hours as I could. The particular company that picked me out of this labor pool to work for them really took care of me. I still try to look out for those two individuals today, because without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And I just kept pushing. I wanted to get back into wrenching, but I had no tools. And in my line of work, no tools, no job, because
Mm-hmm.
that's got to have that. So I found a shop that would take me in, busting tires. They knew my experience, but I had no tools on for them. Because I
Yeah.
tell this story to everybody. When I walked into that shop the first day, I had a little plastic creeper from Harbor Freight and about $80 in tools in a Home Depot bucket. That's what I had. No big toolbox to roll in. I did that for a couple nights. My boss and someone I turned out to be good friends with came to me on my third night and said, "Hey, we have this." It was an old Mack truck. It's all taken apart in front. And they said, "Show us what you can do." I put it back together, and they both told me, "Work out of my box, work out of Willie's box, start buying your tools. We'll
Uh-huh.
make you a mechanic." And that's how I got back in. I've jumped a lot of jobs since I've been home. It can backfire, but every time I quit and jumped, it was for a higher position, more money.
Yeah.
And even my wife and my PO at one point said, "Hey, don't you think you should settle into one job for a while?" And I said, "I will when I find that right job." Now, in my case, it paid off. I kept moving up in the chain, getting my experience back in. And now it's just, hey, I love what I do. I love what I do. I feel like I even started loving it too much. So I'm trying to pull back from all those hours and trying to be home.
Yeah.
But my biggest, my support, my reason is my family, is Beck and my kids. That
Yeah.
is my reason. And it's just, I have not had temptation, not one time since I've been home. Nothing will ever put me back. Nothing will ever put me back in that frame of mind. Because my mind doesn't even work like that anymore. And so it's my family. That's
Yeah.
my drive. When I do those 70, 80-hour weeks, I don't mind it. Because when I'm out there at some job at midnight, I think about them, and that's what gives me my drive, because I know what I'm doing it for. And I
Yeah.
just, man, it's my family. They're it.
That's how
They're
I
my
feel about
purpose.
my son. Because I'm
Exactly.
like, anytime I have a temptation, or I think, like, a lot of times it'll be little things like, oh gosh, it'd be so nice to take a pill or something. And not, then I'll think, but your son he's never, you don't want him to have to see you like that. You've come
Yep.
so far, and that keeps me on the right track. It keeps me motivated. That's a good motivation, is using your family. It
Yeah.
sounds like to me that you are like an adrenaline power addicted to that kind of like fast life,
Yep.
you know?
I was addicted
Because
to the money.
there you go. It's in the money, the power, the respect.
The
You know what
power
I
and the
mean?
respect was huge.
Yeah,
It
I
was.
can imagine. I can't even imagine you go. I can't even, like, the way you are and how nice you are and your demeanor. I cannot even imagine you going into a place and being like, "Give me all your money." I can't even imagine it. Like, seriously. Um you've turned your life around, and it's a
Yeah.
miracle, you know? It's a miracle. What are you trying to do over there on your YouTube channel? Tell everybody about that.
You know, I'm just trying to reach guys. I mean, I speak with everybody. When I was at the halfway house, they had me work with some of the guys that were coming out because I spoke up during one of our classes one night, and somehow it just kind of all turned on me. And after a couple hours later, and the class was over, one of the counselors came to me and said, "Hey, you want to run this outreach program?" And I'm like, "I'll do that." Guys that have done a lot of time like me can relate to me easier than the ones out there speaking that have done maybe 1 or 2 years. And I understand time is time. I don't pray time on nobody. But I used to be that guy sitting in the back of the auditorium in one of the prisons, listening to some guy saying, "Well, you know, I got 18 months over here at so and so camp," and I'd be that guy in the back saying, "Fuck is this guy? You're nothing like me." I'm just being honest. And
Yeah.
so I was taking on the harder cases. I'm just, do I think I can just go talk to somebody and just turn their life around? No. I'm there to plant a seed, you know, like those guys did for me 8, 9 years ago when I was that young punk, or I wasn't young, but I was a punk sitting in an auditorium. But somewhere down the road, it made sense to me. Something one of them said, I don't know what or who, but it made a light go on. And so, and when I talk at the schools, now I understand when I started doing my speeches at Metro, I never talked to that breed of people. When I say
Mhm.
breed, I don't mean race. I just mean these are students, these are criminal justice majors. Okay. And
Mhm.
then here's me. I wasn't nervous the first time, but I know how to talk to them. I know I didn't say one cuss word the first time. And then it turns out, the professor said, "Man, cuss." Because he does it to try to prepare them for what's coming. Because
Right.
none of them really know where they're going, but they're gonna eventually be around guys like me one day, so they got to be used to it. And so I'm
Yeah.
just giving them my experiences, and telling them. I'm not telling them how. Some of them want to be parole officers. I'm not telling them how to be a PO. I'm just saying, man, listen to them.
Right. Right.
Don't just do everything that says, okay, the book says, talk to them like this, ask them these questions. Because my PO is the one that got me into it. And you won't hear many guys say they have mad love and respect for their PO. Because I love my PO. She is a righteous chick. And she is one of my great friends. And when I'm off my paper, I will be in contact with her for the rest of my life. Because she's a great gal. But when I come home, she's always been respectful. She never did what a book said. Granted, she's a veteran. She's been doing it a while, but she never come at me cross. I mean, even the times, because I had my moments where I was really ready to explode, and I call her and say, "Look, man, I need a vent session." That's what I used to call it. And
Uh-huh.
she would sit there and let me just go off, and then she'd get me through it. Because the only struggle I've had since I've been home is people.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah.
ironic because I can speak, but just the way the world changed, and just
So,
respect
so
is huge with me.
tell me about that. What was it like when you came out and everything was different? Like you say, you struggled with people. Was it being able to communicate with people? Was it large crowds? Was it PTSD? Was it anxiety?
Crowds, not so much. I can be around crowds, doesn't bother me. It's the respect level. The biggest thing I had a problem with is when I'm talking to somebody and they would look away or look down or look at their phone. I mean, my first reaction is to go back to the old me. I just want to reach over and just,
Take their
you
phone.
know, man, hey, look, I'm talking to you, man. The fuck are you doing? Okay, you can't do that in everyday life.
Right.
But I just, look, I'm gonna, one time at Walmart with my wife, I probably said, "Excuse me," I don't know, 4 or 5 times. And my wife said, "Oh, they don't," she said, "You're going to get tired of doing that." And I said, doing what? She says, nobody does that anymore. And I said, well, this guy's going to do that, because I'm that. If you're coming down an aisle, it's just nowadays people they are just who they are. I still have my days today where I'm just I just know I scoot over to here, and man, the respect is gone, and that's
Everybody's
something I
going
treat
so
big.
fast.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going so fast. Everybody's focused on anything but what they're doing. Like if they're
Yep.
shopping in the grocery store, they're on their phone,
Man,
they're talking or texting or on the computer. It's like we have that technology is right there and we have everything there. So you can, like today, I'll tell you something. I was in the makeup store on the phone taking phone calls for my job, and I was doing three things at one time,
yep.
all at one time. And I'm sure that the employees in there thought, what is she doing? Does she think this is her office? But it's like I just have it all right there. And
Yeah,
I'm like in between the generations. Like I was born in 80, 82. And so like it was still like excuse me, yes ma'am, no ma'am when I was growing up, but now it's a lot different.
it is,
A
and
lot.
that's why with my kid, that's the biggest thing that we teach and we live by in this house, and it's just because it's what's lost. My 10-year-old son, I've told him over and over. I said, without respecting your word, I said you have nothing in life. I said, but with those two things, you have everything. I said, the minute you break them or cross them, I said, you're done. I said, everyone in this world will walk all over you. And I'm big on respect. I mean, it comes from my past. A lot of people think it's because it was prison. It wasn't. When respect is huge in prison, make no mistake. It's just
Right.
something that bred into me. Respect is all we got. And I do better today. I'm still more comfortable around people like you and my wife. When I get around a bunch of suits, I'm still kind of, I
Me
still
too.
look at them, I'm still in the back of my head, I'm like, you're a fucking suit. They could be a nice guy or a nice woman, but there's still that part of my brain that's like, man, you're a suit. You don't know.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
feel like I don't add up to them. Like I'm beneath them almost, you know
oh,
what I'm
no,
saying?
never think
I
like that.
and I feel inferior, but then like I'm working beside people like that now and they want me to work with them.
Yeah,
And so I have to remind myself like this is where you're supposed to be. Like you're equal. We're all the same. But it's because I guess like just seeing people that like when I was in treatment or when I went to prison, people that
yep,
authority figures. That's what I struggle with. People that are of a higher position than me, it kind of makes me nervous.
yep. Real quick, am I supposed to be looking at the dot? Does it look like my eyes are wandering? Because I don't know where to look on the screen.
Well, I mean, I feel like you're looking at me, but yeah, you
Okay,
look at the dot. You look at the dot. I mean,
okay. Because it's
I
hard
look
because
at you.
I'm trying to see who I'm talking to, and I keep
Yeah.
trying to think, does it look like I'm cross-eyed?
Oh no,
I'm
no,
used,
no.
not
You
used to
don't
that.
look cross-eyed at all because
Okay,
I just look at the screen like I'm looking at you, but you probably can't see my eyes because I have my glasses on.
I can see you, and it looks like you're looking at me. Okay, I just
Okay,
don't want
good.
people to think, man, he's not even into it. He's looking over here, but I'm trying to look. I don't know what proper
Yeah,
etiquette is
you
to
look
this.
at the look. You see the dot on your
I do.
laptop. That's where we look. But I always just look down at the
That's
screen.
what I do.
You know
Okay,
what I mean? We have 31 people in here right now, so I'm so
wonderful.
excited. I hope
Oh my.
you guys have to go over to his channel. Him and his wife do live streams like every day, just like I do. And that's what Real Talk Recovery, they love live streams. So I'm a live streaming addict. So I probably live stream at least once a day. And so I know everybody in here will go over there because they love live streams.
We
And it's,
love. I prefer live than doing videos because that's what I tell my wife. When you go live, there's no script. Not that there's ever a script, but you're on. You just go. You get with it. You start talking.
yeah.
And it's just I prefer going live. It's where I do best.
I do. I go live all the time, and when I started having new people on the channel, I would say, we do the interviews live, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, come on, let's do this." I'm Johnny on the spot.
Yep.
I don't practice for nothing, and that might be a little bit because I'm lazy and I don't know how to do technology, but it works just fine over here. We have a great time.
I feel you get more. It's more real when you go live. And look, I don't want to be asking someone or talking to someone. Or it's not bad to write down a couple key questions. That's not bad. But
Right, right.
just let it start flowing, and everybody just joins in. And you just man start getting with it. That's how I like doing it.
Yeah.
Yep,
It's cool.
it
And
is.
the more that your YouTube channel grows, the more you'll be able to have like you're gonna I mean, I already see you guys, y'all are building a rapport with your subscribers and y'all are becoming like you're making relationships.
Yep,
I swear, I mean, anybody that comments here, I make a relationship with them. I try to build, we are connected. Even though there's
yeah,
3,000 people, I mean, those names go through my mind, and as they pop up on the screen,
yep,
I'm like, and then I remember so and so's doing this and so's doing that. It is so amazing, and
it is.
think about it. Back when we were growing up, or when I was growing up, and when you were growing up, there wasn't anything like you couldn't do this kind of stuff.
Nothing.
I
You
mean,
wrote a
do you remember
letter.
the old phones? I mean, the big phones. The
Yeah,
cell phones when they first came out, they were
the
like big
brick.
and that yes.
I called him a brick because the battery must have weighed 15 pounds, and it was
And
like
pagers.
425 a minute to
Yes.
use it because my buddy had one, and it was the
Oh.
heaviest thing ever. Yeah.
And then we had the pagers. I remember like paging my boyfriend, 911, I love you.
See, I always tell Beck I would love to go back to a pager because it was nice and simple. And I said I used to love the ones that would call me and go 911 because I would look at that and I'd be like, really, 911? But it was nice because yeah, I gotta wait till I get to a payphone because I miss payphones.
Payphones.
I miss the payphone.
Then they went up to 50 cents or 25 cents. That was crazy.
It was crazy. It's just
Those
I
are
miss
good
the old
times.
days. It's just
Yeah,
my
the old
ways.
days.
I always tell everybody I'm still trapped in the 70s and 80s because that was just man, it was such a great time. You know, I mean, everybody probably thinks their generation was the best. It's who we are as people. But the 70s and the 80s were, man, they were great. And just,
So
we
you
lost so much.
were you a flower child? Were you out there smoking the ganja, laying on the grass field?
That wasn't me. I was just me. You know, like in junior high, high school, I was friends with everyone, you know, because you had your cliques, you had
Yes.
your jocks, you had your preppies, you had your nerds, you had your stoners. I was friends with everybody. I didn't hang with any particular group. I had my two brothers that I would hang with, but I was friends with everybody. I never got caught up like in a clique like that.
Mhm.
And it's just no, I was me. I've always
Yeah.
been me. Even when I was not a good person, I was still me. And that's one thing I would say that I think people respect about me the most because I'm always going to be me. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. I'm never going to preach to nobody. I'll give everyone my input and my opinion, my feelings on something, but I'll never preach to anybody. And man, I'm just me. And that's all I do me. And that's what I tell
Yeah.
everybody. Just do you and you'll coast through life. But
That's good.
so many people are worried about what they say on TV or what social media is going to think. Oh, I can't wear this, or I can't think like this, or say this. Yeah, you can. You might get a lot of people don't agree with you, but that's what makes everything great because we're allowed to agree and disagree. I mean, we can't be
Right.
friends. I may not see things your way, you might not see things mine, but we're still going to be cool with each other.
Yeah.
People are just social media. Everyone. That
It's
was
been
my
a
very
learning experience
yeah.
here
It
on
was my
YouTube.
very first observation home because I was on the bus and light rail for a while because they wouldn't let me drive. And man, it was my first day. I looked at some guys I was on the light rail with, and I said, I'm looking around. I said, nobody talks anymore. Because the first thing I noticed, everyone, even people that are in couples, you know, me and my wife point people out when we're at restaurants. We'll see an entire family at a table eating, and they're all on their phones. No, man, put those phones away. Put them away. I just,
I need to do that. I'm guilty. I'm
I would love
guilty
to get
as
rid of cell
charged.
phones and go back. I told my wife, I said, I could do away with all this, go back to a pager and a landline, and I would love life. I said, people, there might be some of our friends that are upset with us. I said, but send me a page, and I will call you when we can. I miss landlines. I miss
Yeah.
being stuck in the kitchen because that's as long as the cord goes. You know, I miss those
Yeah.
days. That was living. That's
Dude,
when
I
it was just
remember
awesome.
I would take the cordless phone and I would go up in my bedroom and I would hide from my mom because I would have my phone, the boyfriend on the phone, and we would fall asleep on the phone and my mom would pick up the other end and go, "You better get off this phone right now." You know?
Yep.
And I'd be like, "I love you. I love you."
Yep.
Man, that was a good time. But you
They
know
were
what?
just simpler.
If we didn't have our, but we look what we have though because of the
And I
technology.
agree with that. There's a lot of good with it. I won't
Yeah,
say there isn't. Because
for sure.
it's
Because we
like
can
with me.
connect all over the world. You and me. I'm in
Exactly.
Arkansas. Y'all, where are you guys at?
Colorado.
Colorado. I mean, we would never even know each other if it wasn't
We wouldn't.
for
So
YouTube.
there is a lot of good that can come from it. I don't deny that there isn't. But everyone's just taking it so far.
Yeah.
So but it is what it
I
is.
know what you mean. I got to get my kid. My son is 5 years old and he has his own cell phone.
We got our son his on his 10th birthday. But then our son is very I wasn't really down for it at first, but it's something that Beck had already told him. You know, when you're 10, we'll get you. And it's really, it's for protection and safety. We like him
Right.
to have it at school in case something happens, whatnot. And he's not your typical 10-year-old. He is so smart. If only I was that smart when I was 10 years old. Wow, because he's got a good head on his shoulders for being 10 years old. So I
Oh,
didn't have a problem with it. But Mia, she's not even 4 yet. And just for her grabbing my phone or any of our phones and running with them, she knows how to access everything. And I'm just, how do you know? There's some stuff I don't know how to do. I've had my son show me. I said, hey, show me how you pop this on our phone. And and it's done. It's
right.
ridiculous.
I swear their brains are like more developed now. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like steroids that's in the chicken while we're pregnant. But my son, he does the same thing. He's like doing all this stuff on there, and I'm like, how do you know how to do that? Like you're 5. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Well, listen, I really am so grateful that you came on the channel. I don't want to make it too long because I want people to come back and watch it.
Right.
So shout out your channel. Tell everybody when are you going to do your next live stream so that way we can all be there on your live.
Well, we're probably going to do a live tonight. Yeah. Want to do live? Probably go live because we got some of our supporters that are going to want to talk about this, and give us their input on it. At doing time with the Darlands, it's a mix. Yes, I'm trying to get my word out there, but we also have a lot of family fun. The thing that's never on our channel is drama. We have no drama in our life, none. Having a bad day isn't drama, but people will do what sells. That's something we stick to and told we will never do. It's not just good times. We talk about everything, you name it, but you get a little bit of both. My speeches are always on there. Man, we're just living and loving life. Just trying to get the word out there, man. That's all we're trying to do.
Well, we're going to all come over there and support you. So everybody from Real Talk Recovery will be over there. You'll know they're with me because they'll probably tell you they came from Real Talk Recovery. Okay?
Okay. All right.
All
Thanks
right,
for
you
having
guys.
me.
Thank you for coming on. I love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, you guys. Isn't he so nice? That was Mike from Doing Time with the Darlands. Y'all didn't get to see his wife, but you'll see her on their live stream. She's real pretty. She's got blue hair. They got a little girl that's just as wild as can be. She would probably just be like me when she grows up. But they're really sweet people, you guys. So go over there, subscribe to their channel, go show them some love, go support them, okay? Show them about the positivity that Real Talk Recovery likes to spread. RTR for life. And just so you guys know, tomorrow night I probably won't be on, but Wednesday night we're going to have Splinter on from Prison POV. So y'all meet me back here Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Love you guys. Oh, baby. You guys know Nate's down here.